All right, guys, so we have a very interesting casting rumor. As the multiverse saga wraps up, and as the presumed, and again, not confirmed, but presumed mutant saga begins to kick off, as, Marvel has had its problems with the multiverse saga. I think that's fair to say, right? I think all of us, even those of us who have really enjoyed a lot of the multiverse saga, which I have enjoyed a good part of the multiverse saga, but I'm ready for the mutant saga. I really am. I'm ready for a big, grand send-off with the multiverse saga, and then let's move on to what the mutant saga has in store for us. But that means that we got to get through Secret Wars and Doomsday first, which I think is exciting, and then we can move on to the multiverse or the mutant saga. But I think that means the introduction of the X-Men, and Kevin Feige has said so himself that the introduction of mutants and the X-Men is going to start happening very rapidly, and then we're going to be heading into that phase of the MCU quite soon. So with that comes the fact that, yes, Kevin Feige has said he always has a plan in place. He always has, looking forward 5-10 years into the future. And that means that he probably has a good idea of what happens after Secret Wars, barring no other delays or any other, drama things like Jonathan Majors, for example. And so if all goes well, that means that the mutant saga is on track. And that means that probably casting and other things are underway, actually, and maybe some mutants will be introduced. Some of the main mutants will be introduced before Doomsday. Case in point, this is a rumor. Again, take this as a grain of salt. This is coming from Jeff Snyder, who I'm not going to say that Jeff Snyder is akin to Variety, Deadline, or The Hollywood Reporter in terms of reputable sources and things like that. If you hear something from just a little bit from what I've learned over the years about covering movies and talking about them, if you hear something from Variety, Deadline, or The Hollywood Reporter, you can basically assume that whatever they're reporting is what they have heard, and what they have heard is generally really good, solid information. And you can take that to the bank, if you will. Again, doesn't mean that things don't change, right? If they report that Chris Evans is coming back as Captain America 5 years ago, and then he doesn't, and he does again, doesn't mean that it wasn't, that's not what they were told, right? So what they say is pretty much true. On the flip side of that, on the other end of the spectrum, things that I don't generally take seriously, although they do get things right once in a while, are the scoopers, the leakers, right? They say things, and a lot of websites actually report these leaks and scoops as if they're actual news. Again, they get things right once in a while, but generally speaking, they're not always 100% accurate. And so I don't usually report on them, other than to just make some segments sometimes to talk about what happens if there is a Midnight Suns movie, what would that look like, for example. Jeff Snyder, I would say, is somewhere closer to the Variety, Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, because his sources generally are true. I remember he actually was one of the first people to break the scoop that Robert Downey Jr. would be coming back as Doctor Doom in Avengers Doomsday. So he is generally reputable. But again, let's just take this with a little bit of a grain of salt. I'm going to do a little bit of a mix here. Let's talk about the fact that, this could genuinely be true, what I'm going to be talking about here with Jean Grey and SADIE SINK, but also talk about the fact that, okay, if it's not, what do we think about this? So basically, the news is that Jeff Snyder is reporting that SADIE SINK is the frontrunner to play Jean Grey. Now, on the surface, what does this mean? Well, first of all, just in general, is this good casting? If it's true, absolutely, yes, this is good casting. In fact, I would be extremely excited for the fact that they're looking at somebody as talented as SADIE SINK to play Jean Grey. If you haven't seen Stranger Things, then obviously that's where most people know SADIE SINK from, is Stranger Things. But she also recently in the Oscar-winning film The Whale, right? The one with Brendan Fraser. And I haven't seen the film, but I heard she's great in it. She is just a tremendously talented actress. She does Stranger Things. She did The Whale. She does a lot of theater, I believe, as well. She just, as an actress, she is amazing. So I would be super, super excited to see someone like SADIE SINK join the MCU. But the other thing that's interesting about this, too, is that the other implication, if this is true, because again, you never know. If they cast SADIE SINK now, she may not appear in the MCU until like 2028 even, something like that. But if this is true, what's interesting about this is that she is young. Even in 2028, I think she'll be under 30. I think that she'll be pretty young by the time by the time she appears in the MCU, if she is indeed Jean Grey, which means that they are looking to build a real rock solid foundation of X-Men characters. It's not going to be like, oh, we're going to cast X actress and X actor, and they're 35, and so by the time that they're done with the MCU, they're like going to be 50 or something like that. It looks like they're really diving into the roots here of young X-Men, and if this is true, they're going to be, really laying a foundation here where these characters, right, if Jean Grey is, in her late 20s, and Cyclops will also be in his late 20s, Logan is Logan, right, Logan will always be, 150 years old or whatever, depending on what iteration they do, but these X-Men look like they're going to be on the younger side, and I think that's really exciting, because that means they're going to be building a strong foundation here to build the X-Men as the frontier, the big characters of the foundation of the next saga of the MCU. So I think that on multiple levels here, if this does end up being true, this is going to be a really exciting thing for the MCU moving forward. But guys, what do you think about SADIE SINK potentially being the next Jean Grey? Is this an exciting thing, or do you have other preferences for who might be playing Jean Grey? Let me know in the comments down below.